So Netivot Shalom, Sefer Shmot, Parashat Vaera, second one of Sefer Shmot. Okay, it's starting. וידבר השם אל משה, right? Hashem is speaking to Moshe, ואומר אליו, אני השם, I am Hashem. וירא אל אברהם, אל יצחק ואל יעקב, right? I was appearing to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov in the name of Shakai, Shin Daled Yud. And my name Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei Avaya. לא נודעתי להם, it was not known to them with this name. So he said here, Levaera Inyan, we need to explain that the Anhaga, the ruling, the way Hashem ruled the time of the Avot, was only in the name of Shem Shakai. And the name Avaya, Lo Nodati Lehem, was not known to them. Right? I think we learned it before, but it's a good to repeat it again. B'Tziat Mitzrayim, at the time of the redemption from Egypt, the ruling was in the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei, right? So Hashem's have few attributes. Each name is known for one or multiple attributes that are similar, like Elokim is judgment, strength, din, etc. So Shem Havaya is the name of past, future, and present, and mercy, merciful name. So Hashem is telling Moshe that I was not known to the Father with these names, with the Shem Havaya, only with the Shem Shakai, which is the name of Tzimtzum, Sha'amar lo olamot dai. Right? When Hashem created the world was spreading, similar to the Big Bang theory, and then Hashem told the whole creation, stop. Okay. So, according to that, the Rav HaKadosh HaMagid, because Nitzichoto Gan Elenu, he said, the Kasher Bara et Olam, right? When Hashem created the world, prior to all the creatures, already Hashem determined the order, the laws and the order and the ruling of the entire creation, and the time of the events, and the things that will happen until the end of generations. That was already determined and scheduled. But he said, but indeed, this is like the natural ruling that you see. The sun is sunrise, is rising, the sun is setting. You have light, you have dark, you have seasons. In some places, people are getting old, they die. Think how the world is running. This is the Anaga Tivait, the natural ruling, the way that the whole creation works. But there is an inner ruling, in a way of like a tube inside the tire. It's called Ofan Betoch Ofan. And they're using here Ofan. Ofan is something that is round, like a tire that is keep rolling and rolling and rolling. This is our life are rolling, which is the divine ruling above order, law and order, and schedule. According to the Avodah of Bnei Israel, and that type of ruling is being affected by us. If we behave according to Hashem will, we have the power, the strength to change the schedule. First option was Adam HaRishon, right? The first man. If he would standing and passing that Nisayon and not eating from the fruit that Chava gave him, then the whole world on that Friday was fixed. And there was no need for all these troubles, exile, etc. And then again, if Israel will not be sinning, it depends on the time or the period, then we would not have the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, the first one, second one, etc. And according to that, it says from the Saba Kadosh Mislonim that he explained the contradictions, like allegedly contradiction, that Chazal are saying in Masechet Rosh Hashanah. He said, Adam Nidon B'Rosh Hashanah. A person is being judged in the new year, and a person is judged every day. So decide, is it once in a year in Rosh Hashanah in the new year, or is every day? So he said there is a ruling according to the time and schedule that was determined by the judgment on Rosh Hashanah, in the new year, for the whole year. But a person can actually change it, which is above what was determined and scheduled and was prepared for him on the Rosh Hashanah. And that type of ruling or behavior, Hashem leads by himself. And it's not giving for any of the ministers or the officers or the angel or the mazalot, the signs. and it can change, he said, even after what was determined in the new year, in the beginning of the year. And this type of rulings are included in Sefer Bereshit when we learned about Yaakov, in a Sulam Utzav, right? It was when you have the dream about the ladder that is standing on the ground and the head is reaching to heaven and Hashem is standing upon him. So he said, there is a ruling like a ladder. You have the steps and you're climbing up and down, you're going up, etc. And that's the ladder that is standing on the ground and is touching heaven. These are the Madragot, levels, steps. And also there is one that Hashem is standing upon him and he can actually, boom, beam me up, Scotty. This is what Hashem can do depending on our behavior. And according to that, we need to explain what does it mean, that attribute of Hashem, Shakai, Shin Daled Yud, and the name of Havaya. Because we said that the Shem Shakai is Shem Tzimtzum, something that is narrow, stress, stopping, a limitation. Shem Shakai is name of limitations. When Hashem told this world, die, stop. And it said in the Sefer that when Hashem created the heaven, the Rakia, what we see, let's say, with all the stars, constellation, Milky Way, etc., everything was spreading. And this is like similar to the Big Bang theory. And by the way, I read something, I think that Albert Einstein wrote. He said that the whole creation spreads from that Big Bang, then it stops, and then it's trying to collapse back again. And this is what the Kabbalah is talking about also, that the whole world want to go back to the source, to Hashem. So he said that Hashem used that name to stop the creation from spreading. And also the Shem Shakai, its theme is about law and order, Seder Umishtar. And that was the main ruling at the time of the Avot, Yitzchak and Yaakov, that was in the Shem Shakai. And over there, it looked like, again, we're not talking about Midrashim, we talk about the Torah. Over there, everything was naturally. And Shmi Havaya lo nodati lahem, the name of Hashem, Yudke Vavke, which is the mercy, was not known to them. Because in their time, we didn't find in the Torah an Agani Sit that was hinted only in the name of Hashem, but only in Yetziat Mitzrayim that was revealed in the Anaga, in the ruling of Hashem, and that was like a whole miracle from scratch, from start to the end. And Hashem himself was ruling it and was doing it. He didn't give it to any angel or any ministers. And Hashem changed the nature and everything with all the makot, right? All the plague that came was really showing that, like fire and ice together, and suddenly blood in the water, an animal that came from different places with their habitats, etc. And the reason why Hashem suddenly changed is ruling in the time of the redemption from Egypt, because Hashem usually is not behave or making a miracle or creating a miracle is changing the nature, and Hashem really doesn't like it. And we know in the Gemara that there were so many stories about Tanaim that made something like for a tree to get fruits for feeding up the workers, and his father said, oops, you're going to die because you changed the nature from heaven. They don't like it. So Hashem himself also doesn't like it, but only when it's really, really necessary. So therefore, in the time of the father, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, it could still, yes, there were miracles over there, but they look like a nature, that look like the regular cause of nature. He didn't need to do this anaga al tivi, that type of ruling which was above nature, but was not in the Yetziat Mitzrayim. So the Yetziat Mitzrayim, there were other reasons why Hashem did it, not only to take us out, but also to slaughter the idols and to show the Egyptians that the moon, the stars, or everything that they're worshiping do not have the strength or the power because it's used to have. It's not for nothing that the Egyptian knew exactly which star is ruling at the time, and they were doing what they were doing. And therefore Hashem needed to change. Now, it says that it was impossible that the redemption will be according to the time schedule of the 400 years that we're supposed to be in exile. We didn't have the time, right? We were in the 49 level, and we didn't have the merit, because after all the tribe dies, including Yosef, and suddenly the Egyptian, there were no leader for Bnei Israel, and they started to go out from Goshen, assimilate, etc., etc. And then the Egyptian, what they did is, suddenly they realized that it's a big problem for Egypt, so they make them slaves. So we didn't do Brit Milah. Yeah, we didn't change the language, we didn't change the name, we didn't change the clothing, but we were doing idols, we didn't do Brit Milah, etc. So we didn't have the merit to be redeemed from Egypt. So Hashem couldn't wait. And therefore Hashem suddenly needed to reveal his divine Hanhaga, divine ruling, like, I'm Hashem, I'm the boss, no law and order, I do whatever I want. As it says, Kol Dodi Nezeba, right? We know it from Shir HaShirim, like the sound, the voice of my dod is coming, running, skipping on the mountains, skipping on the hills. And it's the mashal, we bring here an analogy that about the king sitting in his royal clothing, very expensive, on his throne, and then he saw his son falling into the pit, and he's not waiting for other to come and get him out, but he himself running, and he's taking his son out and he's saving him. So this is exactly what Hashem did with us. He was going down to Egypt to save us directly. That was the mighty revelation in the redemption from Egypt. Shekol the din is about the sound of my dod, which is like Hashem metaphorically running, skipping on the mountains, on the hill, just to save his firstborn Israel. Because we were in danger. We're in the 49 level of Tuma. And therefore Hashem by himself went down, and we're saying it every Agada of Pesach. And it's also hinted in Sefer Bereshit, the revelation of, or the beginning, sorry, not in Sefer Bereshit, but in the beginning of the revelation of Hashem to Moshe in the burning bush, right? So the bush is burning, but is not consumed by the fire, because Hashem love to us is infinite, not like the other one said that, yes, because we sinned, Hashem doesn't like us anymore, we choose someone else. No. He loves us for infinite, and even when he's upset of us, he's still loving us. And that's why it was appearing in the burning bush, which was the snare, which was a thorn bush, to show us that he's suffering also with us. Otherwise, it could be appearing in a nice flower or whatever. And that's the main thing of the Geulah, of the redemption, that was by Hashem himself. As it says, Ani Hashem, right? Ani Hashem, Ani velo malach, Ani velo saraf, Ani Hashem b'kvodo v'tzvi, me in my honor. It's not an angel, not a serpent. But he said, but okay, fine. How does it make it different to us if the redemption was by an angel or serpent? Why is it so important? After all, we would be redeemed, Baruch Hashem. So why needed to have this heavenly revelation by Hashem himself? But he says, it's hinted that the Anagat Malach v'Saraf, when we have an angel or servant in charge, they are actually under Tzimtzum. They are limited. The strength is limited only for the task that were sent, right? We learned that the angel can do only one task. That's why, for example, when the angel showed up with Avraham Avinu, there were three: one to heal him, one to tell him about Sarah, and one to go and destroy its dome. So the angel, if we are under the ruling of an angel, they're very limited. And the redemption from Egypt couldn't be in that limitation, which is like similar to the natural cause of things. So Hashem couldn't give it to an angel, only by himself. To Hanaga Eliona, it says, the divine ruling, which is above the nature and everything. So there's a bird here that wants to go to the cage as a punishment. And therefore the redemption was in Bechinat Ani Hashem, which is Ein Sof, infinite, above the nature, above everything. Veine, all the matter of the Galut and Geulah, the exile and redemption, are infinite, and they are related to each and every individual, of course, on a national level as well, but they're related to us, right? We're learning Torah, we're learning Hasidut, so every time the Netivot Shalom is teaching us what we can take personally from these stories for what happened. He said each individual needs to come out from the 49 level of Tuma that is sinking in them. And we need to learn it from this parasha. the ways of the redemption. And according to the way that we didn't find in the Torah, Anaga Nisit Etzel Avot, we didn't find with our father, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, these miracles, because the miracle ruling is revealed only L'tzorach Hasha, only temporarily, only when it's really needed, in Yetziat Mitzrayim. But it couldn't be in Anaga Tivit. And the same, and also, this is a way for us, a path for us to achieve the individual redemption. If usually צריך לומר, right, הנהגתו על פי סדר, that we are behaving according to the law and order and according to the laws of the Torah, etc. But sometimes there are situations that כאשר פחז עליו יצרו, when the evil inclination is really trying hard, then we have to have מסירות נפש, above nature. We need to be superhero. And here we bring a story about a Nazir that came from the south. And then he was drinking water, and he saw his reflection in the water, and he saw how beautiful he is with the hair. So he shaved his hair, even though he shouldn't do it as a Nazir, but because it was very tempting, and he was getting like, oh, I'm so pretty, I have a beautiful hair, he removed the hair. And also Palti Ben Lai, she was married, I think, the daughter of Shaul, but actually she was supposed to be, I think, with David. So he stick a sword in the bed. He said, that's it. Nobody crossed the lines. And also in Boaz, that he was swearing the name of Hashem. So all of these, like people building themselves fences or trying really hard to go against the nature or their nature, their midot. And this is what you need to do, we need to do when the evil inclination is trying very hard on us. And that's the way to go to get into a personal redemption. And Yetziat Mitzrayim, that supernatural redemption was from the strength, so from the power of, it's called Itaruta Dil Ela, right? We know, so there is like influence that coming from above and influence that's coming from below. So Dil Ela is from heaven. So Hashem was actually doing it, right? We didn't have the merit. Bnei Israel was very busy working, trying to get the raw material. They were all slave for 200 years and 9 years, right? Because the other, or maybe the 210 years, maybe they left on 210. So for 209 years, or even more, they were still with the slave mindset, right? So they didn't have the time to dive into Hashem. Only after, I think, 80 years from Moshe was fleeing Egypt, suddenly they started to scream to Hashem. And then Hashem said, okay, now they're ready for redemption. They didn't ask for redemption until now because they were very busy. They couldn't even think about it. And they didn't know that the time is coming, and they went down the drain. So Hashem said, okay, but still, he needed them to do the first step. But then the redemption started from heaven. They did a small, tiny little step, just screaming to Hashem. They didn't even have the ability to speak, to request, just screaming. So he said, the way that a person behaves, this is how they will behave with us from Shamayim. When we are doing Mesirut Nefesh and we're trying hard as we can, then from Shamayim, they will try hard as they can again to help us. And then he will bring upon ourselves the redemption. And this is the main thing, that Veyedu Mitzrayim ki ani Hashem, that Mitzrayim should know that I'm God. So Mitzrayim is Revat Aretz. The Egypt is the immorality. The main thing over there, it was the immorality things. But he said it's a hint about the Egyptian part that the Jew has in it. That part in the Jew, he needs to know that I'm Hashem. Because Paro said, I don't know who is Hashem, right? He was known only the name of Elokim, because Yosef told him, right? Elokim yane et shalom Paro. Elokim will resolve the dream. He never used the name of Havaya, Yudke Vavke with Paro. So Paro, when Moshe and Aaron was coming to him, introducing him the Hashem, he said that we are in a mission from God, from Yudke Vavke. Paro said, I don't know. I'm looking at the list. He was Googling to say, no, I don't know who is Hashem. Go away. So in Gematria, in the numerical value of Elokim is Hateva, the nature, which means that Yosef was revealing to Paro the ruling of the TV, the natural ruling. But Paro didn't believe that. He didn't know about the Shem Hashem, which is above the nature. And that's why he said, I don't know who is Hashem. So after all the revelation and all the plagues and everything, there was a time that the Egyptian knew that it said, oh, Etzba Elohim, right? It's Hashem. We know that it's him. And that was the purpose of all the revelation, to plant it into the Egyptian and us, that think that you can have Anaga Eliona Al Tivit, that you can have above nature thing that will happen, and also that the same God that is punishing the Egyptian is the same God that rewarding the Jews or helping the Jews. Because they believed also that there is one God that is evil and one God that is good. And sometimes they're fighting with each other. כמו כן שייך עניין הנהגה על טבעית להמשיך הגולה הפרטי. So this type of הנהגה על טבעית, above nature ruling, is to bring us to the private or individual redemption by מצוות קדושים, that we should be separated. And even more, קדש עצמך במותר, right? To learn that קדש עצמך במותר, sanctified yourself with the permissible thing. And this is like really against all the nature and all the laws in order, because we're allowed to do it, but we should prevent ourselves from doing things that we should not do, even though it's permissible. And that's the tzivui, kadesh עצמך במותר, right? Whether if it is a diet or whatever it is. And this הנהגה למעלה מן הסר והטבע, as the Rambam wrote in the mitzvah קדושים תהיו, that you should be holy, and also the tzivui, the commandment, ועשית ישר וטוב בעיני Hashem, that you do the right and the straight in the eyes of Hashem, right? Even sometimes we don't have things that are written, but we know if it's good or not, if we're doing something. We know if we're doing the right thing or not. And these are like a very general mitzvot about all the things about the Torah, that even though it permitted us to do it, we still need to sanctify it ourselves, even when it's in heter. And Hashem, and the Torah didn't put a fence for how much we need to do it, because each and one of us have his special thing that is sometimes is changing from 1 hour to another, 1 day to another, in life period. Like sometimes what we had when we were teenager, it's not the same when we are adult. So it's dynamic, it's fluid, but we need to do a mesirut nefesh, and we need to examine, he said all of the time, that the soul of a person will teach him if we're doing the right thing or not, and how we should do it, and how much we should do it, and which action will actually take us out from the darkness and from the gates of the tumah that we're sinking in, and they will bring him to the purpose and to the destination, which will be the individual redemption from our Egypt. And we should put defenses for ourselves. And when we do that, not only when we have the Torah, but even to put more, and this is what's called Hasid, right? We're learning Hasidut, which is above and beyond. So if we having more boundaries and more fences to protect us, then from Shamayim they will help us even more, and then we'll bring ourselves the Geulah, the redemption. Thank you very much for listening, and have a great week. Shavua tov.